Everybody is beefing in 2025, and Charlamagne Tha God and Roland Martin are now crashing out on each other.
If you're Democrats, do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlemagne Tha God.
Donkey of the Day for Monday, November 10th goes to Roland S. Martin. He is a Democrat dancing machine. He loves dancing for Democrats so much that he won't even go to the right when the Tootsie Roll is playing. Okay, it's all to the left for Roland. And
Rebecca, I don't know what that was. That was just bullshit.
All of this started when Charlamagne spoke on the government shutdown and the Affordable Care Act subsidies.
Dems, you had a great night last night. The health care is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. So come on, man. It's time to reopen the government. I don't care whose fault it was.
Roland Martin took exception to Charlamagne spreading misinformation about what was going on with the federal shutdown, especially because Charlamagne and the Breakfast Club have such a huge platform.
But when you understand how precious information is, for disinformation, misinformation, lack of full information also has negative consequences.
But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
Dems, you had a great night last night. The premiums have already gone up. They are set for the year. It's time to move on. We appreciate the fight, the valiant effort, but come on, man. People got rent due. People got childcare to pay for, light bills, card notes. I feel for all those federal workers who have missed 2 paychecks already, especially when most of them are living paycheck to paycheck. People not getting this. SNAP benefits. It's time to reopen the government. I don't care whose fault it was. Let's stop playing politics with people's lives.
I don't disagree with Charlamagne on a lot of stuff, but this he's just dead wrong on. He doesn't care whose fault it is, but then he's calling out and blaming the Democrats by name and also saying that premiums are already set for the year. That's not true. Right now, we're currently in open season. I think anybody that's ever had insurance knows what open season is. It's when you can enroll, unenroll, or change your insurance just depending on what you want to do. The premiums that people were notified about don't actually take effect until January 1.
The fight is over because the premiums have already gone up and they're set for the year. And now you have a whole group of people, which are federal workers who have already missed 2 paychecks. So I understand that
I got a bunch of friends that are federal workers or contractors for the federal government. I definitely feel for anybody impacted by this government shutdown. But again, to blame Democrats and say they're fighting for no reason, he's just wrong. He's misinformed. And the worst part is he's spreading this misinformation to black people, to his audience, to people that would listen to him and not know any different.
You don't want high health care premiums, but what about people who can't pay their rent right now? Right about people who can't pay their car notes right now? People who can't pay their daycare. I don't care whose fault it is or was. Let's stop playing politics with people's lives, man. Let's reopen the government. We can still have this fight about healthcare while the government is open.
False. You can't have this fight about healthcare while the government is open because the Republicans won't negotiate. Half of them built their careers off tearing down Obamacare, which is the Affordable Care Act, which is what they've effectively done at this point. So this was actually the only leverage that the Democrats had to get a vote on the subsidies extended for the Affordable Care Act. And when you're being quoted and shown on Fox News for blaming the Democrats for the government shutdown, that is a horrible look.
Democrats, you fought. It seemed like you lost the fight. At this point, go and give it up. At least give the people some relief by getting the government back open.
Yeah, he is appealing to Democrats by citing issues like SNAP benefits and holiday travel. This is now the longest shutdown in U.S. history.
And so Roland Martin took to his platform to call out Charlamagne for the misinformation on the Affordable Care Act and for blaming Democrats for the government shutdown.
If you're Democrats, do me a favor. Do not listen to people like Charlemagne Tha God.
But that's the problem. He is Charlamagne Tha God. He does work for the Breakfast Club. He is in the culture. So people naturally look up to him, believe him, and follow him. So when he says something like, Democrats, this is your fault, or give up because you're doing all of this for nothing, people are going to believe him.
Charlemagne was talking about this government shutdown, and he made a comment as relate to what Democrats should be doing.
The health care is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. So if it's going up anyway, what's the point of Democrats taking the stand to keep the government still closed?
At this point, you're right, because the premiums, which the open enrollment started this weekend, November 1st. And so people are getting those letters in the mail. In fact, one person in Utah, a woman in Utah, she told ABC News that she opened her bill and saw that her monthly premium had already jumped from about $400 a month, Charlamagne, to over $2,000 a month.
But those letters are just notices that insurance companies send out before open enrollment even starts to let those insured know that their premiums will be going up, which premiums were going up this year anyway because of course for hospitals, doctors, and supplies and all of that stuff going up due to where we are in the economy. But those go out before open enrollment so people know their options. Then open enrollment happens, which is right now through I think the second week of December. Different states may have different open enrollment dates, but the premiums don't actually take effect until January 1st. So that's what Democrats were fighting for and using the leverage of the government shutdown to keep premiums from going up officially in January.
What's going to happen? Is it retroactive? Like, how is this going to work as we continue to go forward? So you're absolutely right.
It's not retroactive. It would take effect January 1, which is a month and a half away. So again, in one fell swoop, for anybody listening to Charlemagne that doesn't know better, they now think the Democrats are responsible for the shutdown, fighting for nothing because these premiums were going up no matter what, and that people are struggling, losing SNAP benefits and everything else because of the Democrats, which isn't the case at all. This is a Republican problem as they run the House, Senate, and the White House. So to put that blame on Democrats in front of his audience was dead wrong.
That to me is beyond idiotic. This battle that we're seeing is not solely about healthcare. Rebecca, I don't know what the hell that was. That was just bullshit.
Look, what I heard was an exchange of two people who don't understand how this works. So what they're talking about are the health insurance premiums. The marketplaces are the state exchanges. The state exchanges is because of Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act. Those premiums are effective January 1, 2026. You get about 60 days notice in most states. Some states put out their new expected premiums back in October, some kind of at the end of September.
I literally got mine letting me know what my premiums would be for the year the first week of October.
But this is giving notice of, hey, if you continue at the level of health insurance plan that you have, this is what you're going to start to pay effective January 1.
That's a big part, effective January 1, which is Charlemagne's whole point that Democrats were holding people hostage because the Democrats were fighting for something that would no longer be effective, which is false.
I mean, this isn't just misinformation here. This starts to look like this is intentional disinformation, intentionally targeted to a certain demographic. The demographic here is Black voters. The reason why is that Black voters are the base of the Democratic Party. Right now, the Democrats are in lockstep saying that, no, we're not going to give you the votes that you need in order to end this government shutdown. You Republicans need to come to us and work out a deal.
Until these silly ass 8 Democrats sold out their party, basically. This is why we need young people of color running for these offices that are in touch with their communities, that understand what people are struggling and fighting for and what we need. Because the Republicans will not vote to restore or extend any credits related to the Affordable Care Act. And it's just sad knowing that Obama gave up all his political capital to pass this thing, help millions of people, and they're tearing it down just because it has Obama's name on it.
This is disinformation that we're seeing that Charlemagne is doing. This is not just mistaken information. This is intentional, going after Black voters.
When you are in political battles, you maximize your leverage. And when you're fighting on behalf of people, they understand that there are people who are not getting benefits. They know there are federal workers who are not getting their paychecks as well. But they also are dealing with an administration that's been slashing and burning and firing people indiscriminately as well.
The government has been laying off and firing mostly Black people, or agencies that mostly employ Black people. The largest demographic hurt by Trump's administration laying off so many people in the federal government is Black women. I think they lost 300,000 jobs with all of the federal layoffs.
You do not capitulate. You do not back down. You try to get as much as you can.
Well, absolutely. And this is why Wendy Williams' sidekick should not be trusted with political information. I've long had a beef with Charlemagne. This is why people need to do what it is that they do well. And when you don't understand health insurance or politics, you don't do that. You do entertainment news. The fact that Republicans want those premiums to go up and want them to go up permanently. That's why we're in this shutdown fight. That's why it's protracted. It is not on Democrats to just say, well, we'll give up everything so we can just open the government. That's not going to do anything for people come January when those insurance premiums go into effect.
Just like all those MAGA people were talking trash about Obamacare, not realizing that the Affordable Care Act is Obamacare and Obamacare was just what we all called it. It's going to be the same thing for Black voters. They're then going to walk away from listening to The Breakfast Club, blaming Democrats for the federal shutdown, for people not receiving SNAP benefits, for layoffs and everything else that's happening because they're listening to Charlemagne.
But most Most people who have to rely on these exchanges will not be able to do the same if the Democrats cave in and give the Republicans what they want right now.
And again, the Republicans want these premiums to go up, so people stop using the Affordable Care Act, they unenroll, they drop out, and it's basically gutted, which was their intention from the day that Obama passed it.
When you are controlling the narrative, you don't just say, here you go. Take it away.
After being called out by Roland Martin, Charlemagne responded on The Breakfast Club with Donkey of the Day, which I think this is probably one of the most undeserved donkeys of the day that, that I can remember at least.
Donkey of the Day for Monday, November 10th goes to Roland S. Martin. Y'all know Roland Martin, left-wing political commentator, founder of the Black Star Network. He hosts his show, Roland Martin Unfiltered, on YouTube. Oh, and let's not forget, he is a Democrat dancing machine. Oh, Roland will cut a rug for the Democrats, you hear me? Okay, he loves dancing for Democrats so much that he won't even go to the right when the Tootsie Roll is playing. Okay, it's all to the left for Roland, and that's fine. Okay,
He won't even go to the right when the Tootsie Roll is playing.
respect to him and his political allegiance with Democrats. So it wasn't a surprise to me that Roland had an opinion on my opinion of this current government shutdown, because I feel like Democrats, even though they put up a great fight, it was a valiant effort in regards to healthcare. It was a fight they couldn't win right now.
Charlemagne's opinion isn't what anybody had a problem with. They had a problem with misrepresenting the facts that the Democrats were responsible for the federal shutdown, and they were doing it for no reason because the Affordable Care Act premiums were already set in stone for the next year. When that's not the case, when they don't go into effect until January 1. Therefore, if those subsidies or discounts were extended for the next year, it would have lowered premiums again.
Okay, key word right now. So open the government back up because people are out here suffering. Roland didn't like that. Okay, he posted this video with the headline, Beyond Idiotic, Roland tears down Charlemagne's shutdown misinformation. That's the word that got my attention, misinformation. What did I say that was misinformation? I said the healthcare is going to go up anyway because of the big, beautiful bill, because that didn't include the extension of the tax credits to keep the cost down. That's fact-based.
It's only fact-based if those tax credits, the subsidies, the discounts aren't extended for the next year, which is what the Democrats were fighting for. So those subsidies still could have been extended and impacted premiums in January for the next year. So therefore, Charlemagne is wrong about that.
Okay, Mimi pointed out that some people were already receiving higher premiums since the beginning of the open enrollment period. People have been receiving notices of higher premiums. So where was the misinformation?
Nothing is permanent. Nothing is in effect until January 1. Even right now, from now until the end of December, we're still on our current or our old policies. The new policy that we signed up for, whatever changes that we made, added somebody, took somebody off, does not take effect until January 1st. So any notice that anybody would have gotten in September, October, November, saying that their premiums would increase, that could still change if those subsidies or discounts were in effect. Again, which is what the Democrats were fighting for during this government shutdown.
Roland, you may not agree that Dems should concede and vote for the government to be reopened, but don't say it's misinformation. Okay, maybe I gave too short an explanation. Maybe I oversimplified it. Maybe I should be clearer for the audience, and I will right now. When the big, beautiful bill, when that bipartisan spending package Republicans forced through, when that was passed, Democrats failed to extend the ACA premium subsidies that were originally expanded under the American Rescue Plan and Inflation Reduction Act.
Democrats weren't empowered. No Democrat voted for the big, beautiful bill. The Republicans passed that on a straight Republican vote. So the Democrats aren't responsible or had nothing to do with the big, beautiful bill passing. They could not extend any tax credits or subsidies or discounts that impact insurance premiums. So he's wrong about that as well.
Without those tax credits, ACA or Obamacare premiums increase automatically, and they're already locked in for 2025.
They're not locked in for 2026 until January 1st. If the federal government extended the tax credits or subsidies or discounts, whatever you want to call them, to insurance companies, the premiums would lower.
File and finalize their rates months ahead. So if healthcare premiums have already gone up and are fixed for the year, then keeping the government closed, the fight for lower premiums makes no sense to me.
I gotta use Charlemagne's quote that he told Dame Dash. You sound smart to dumb people. Because this all makes sense if you don't know anything about what the Affordable Care Act does, how the premiums work, what the subsidies were doing, the timelines for open enrollment, signing up or dropping insurances, and when your open enrollment changes actually take effect, which is January 1st.
Okay, that's why I said what I said. because of the people who are being hurt by this. Federal workers who haven't been paid in 40 days, they past due on rent right now. Can't pay for child care right now. Hell, they can't pay for the health insurance they do have because they don't have any money coming in. Not to mention people not getting the SNAP benefits. So how is what I said some BS?
The Republicans are solely responsible for the SNAP benefit fiasco. The Republicans could have paid SNAP benefits anytime. I think they have a $6 billion escrow to allow them to pay SNAP benefits for the 40 million people that need it, and they're suing the federal government to not pay SNAP benefits. That failure and responsibility rests solely on the Republican Party, so him again blaming Democrats for that is wrong.
How is that misinformation? Once again, Roland, if you would have said I disagree with Charlemagne, Democrats should fight and not vote to reopen the government until some concessions are made on health care, cool, I would understand that. It's fair. But to say it's some BS and label it as misinformation, that's just a lie.
Charlemagne was speaking factually about ACA going up no matter what the Democrats do when he was wrong. It wasn't an opinion, it was a fact. And I feel like that's what Roland Martin was correct in their check-in.
And you did that on purpose. That was intentional to discredit me in the Breakfast Club, but we'll get back to that. He even had a sister by the name of Rebecca Carruthers come in and double down on the lie that we spread misinformation and accuse me of all types of treachery. Okay, you repeated what myself and Mimi just said. You just didn't oversimplify it.
Charlemagne and Mimi said that the premiums for the Affordable Care Act were already going up no matter what, which she clarified in saying that those premiums won't go up until January 1st. Therefore, whatever negotiations that the Democrats can do during the government shutdown to get subsidies extended for the Affordable Care Act for another year would therefore impact the premiums on January 1st, lowering them to something less than what they would be without the ACA subsidies. So that's not the same at all as what Charlemagne said.
I did, but I still don't understand how that leads into you saying I'm intentionally giving out misinformation to black voters. What is the misinformation? I'm also not trying to discourage anyone from voting in midterms, even though I know we are going to have to fight to have free and fair elections in the midterms, but that's a whole other conversation. But you, Rebecca, sound like you are trying to make me out to be controlled opposition. Let the record show, I don't get paid by any political party. I've never taken money from a political candidate for anything. Can Roland Martin say the same? Again, what did I say that was misinformation? Okay, everything I said is actual and factual in regards to what's in the big, beautiful bill. If you disagree with me saying Democrats should vote to reopen the government, once again, that is fair. If you believe me saying I think Democrats have lost is wrong, I understand that too. But that's my opinion, not misinformation. You want to know why I think Democrats have already lost? I'll tell you my position. One, because the Trump administration practices authoritarian strategy. And they don't give a damn about working class people, and they damn sure don't care about the poor.
The Republicans don't care about the people, and the only leverage that the Democrats had was this government shutdown.
Republicans are scared to death of that administration, and they have zero reason to make any concessions. They already have everything they want in the big deadly bill. Okay, massive tax cuts stay. ACA subsidy extensions didn't make it in. Deep cuts to Medicaid and social programs already in there. They have zero reason to play ball. Roland knows this.
Which is why so many people, even though they were struggling, understood what this government shutdown was about. It was about putting some brakes on the Republican Party and all the nonsense that they were doing.
But he would rather sell y'all false hope instead of telling you the truth. Roland knows most of these Republicans have made careers running against Obamacare. They can't go back now, even if it kills them in the midterms.
But it was killing them in the midterms.
In government. Democrats, by the way, feel like that's why pinning a shutdown strategy around this issue was foolish to begin with. Okay, and a lot of them told me they knew they weren't going to get anything out of this except maybe the promise of a vote on the Senate floor that will ultimately fail. That's why I said last week Democrats lost. Okay, as you can see, that seems to be the case because they reached a tentative agreement yesterday that does not include an extension of the ACA subsidies. And you know who will be one of the first people out here fake dragging Democrats for YouTube views because of that? Roland Martin.
That might be factual. If the Democrats actually caved as a whole, I'm sure Roland Martin would have smoke for them. But they didn't. 8 people crossed the line and sold out the Democratic Party to end the shutdown.
Even though he knew that was going to be the obvious political outcome from the beginning. Now listen, if Dems were able to get these authoritarian strategy-ass practicing Republicans to make some concessions on healthcare, I would be the first person on this radio saying I was wrong and applauding them. But I never saw it happening. That's why I said I think they lost. But I applaud Democrats, okay? Drop on the clues bomb for Democrats. For for doing something they don't normally do, and that's fighting. They threw a Hail Mary on behalf of the American people because they know the American people are about to get their asses kicked when it comes to these high-ass health insurance premiums, courtesy of the Republicans.
You see that line that he just added in, courtesy of the Republicans. It's something he didn't say the first time he was discussing the government shutdown or premiums going up. He didn't mention the Republicans at all. So this time, even him acknowledging that it's courtesy of the Republicans or the Republicans' fault, I think makes a huge difference. And he really should have said that the first time.
But I just don't believe in MAGA's ability to do the right thing, especially when they have zero reason to, because they already got everything they want. Democrats absolutely are the adults, and we have to count on Democrats to do the right thing because Republicans won't. Republicans will let this whole society collapse right under the working class and poor people's feet because they don't care.
Him saying all of this the second time around sounds much better and much different and more fair to what's actually going on in this political climate.
Back to Roland. When people talk about the shutdown now, the first thing they bring up is the airlines. By the way, I told y'all on Thursday this shutdown wouldn't last much longer because of the airlines. It's always going.
That's how it always is. The federal shutdowns can last up to a month, but after that, TSA and other federal employees at the airport that aren't getting paid stop coming to work because what's the point? By that second month, bills have to be paid. And if you're going to work every day for a job that's not paying you, why would you?
They talk about the airlines. They talk about the SNAP benefits. But those federal workers, sadly to me, get lost in this conversation. Roland said something when him and his panel were accusing us of misinformation. In that exchange, Roland said they understand that there are people not getting their benefits. They understand there are federal workers not getting their paychecks. You know why Roland Martin can say that so nonchalantly? Because he's not potentially facing eviction because he hasn't paid his rent for the month. Does Roland Martin, the boo-boo built ass, look like he's missing any meals? Huh? But we should not be swapping the pain of one group of Americans for another. That's my mindset. Also, Dems, if you was going to do a shutdown, why not have something in place for the federal workers who are going to need money or the folks who are losing SNAP benefits? Hell, what's that guy's name? Timothy Mellon? He donated $130 million to help pay the U.S. military personnel. Where are the Democratic donors who are willing to do that for federal workers?
I still think it's weird the way that he's putting all of this blame on the Democrats for the federal shutdown when what they're doing is for the people. Again, in situations like this, nobody points at the Republicans. You just can't say because, oh, they don't care about the people, so they don't get any smoke in this conversation. Trump is sending $40 billion to Argentina or wherever that is, but Charlemagne is not mentioning any of this when, again, he's pointing the finger back at the Democrats. I kind of have a problem with that.
Once again, we can have an ideological discussion about the government shutdown. We can agree to disagree on that. But to say that I put out misinformation, that's just a fat, rotund Martin lie.
It wasn't a lie, though.
Now, there is a reason Rotund Martin wants to paint the Breakfast Club, me in particular, as a person spreading misinformation. See, I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit, not too much.
He's a hater.
It really don't matter.
You be hating on Charlemagne?
You to know people's motivation. Roland Martin is a hater. Okay, he be hating on me behind the scenes to anybody who will listen. And it's always in regards to how I'm moving in this media space. In particular, anything in the political realm. It's always a, why does he get this? Why does he get that type of thing? Roland, I don't know. Okay, favor ain't fair, but he will do all that hating, but loves texting my phone asking to come on the Breakfast Club.
Charlemagne pulling out receipts and text messages.
I am not your competition, and I refuse to be responsible for how you feel about yourself. You accuse Breakfast Club of spreading misinformation because you are trying to discredit me and the platform I have helped to build.
And then Roland Martin responded to Charlemagne's Breakfast Club segment in like a 40-minute video.
I stand up for black people. I stand up for black people on the local level, the state level, the national level, international level. I fight on behalf of black people. I've worked in black-owned media, not black-targeted media. iHeartRadio owns the Breakfast Club. That's black-targeted. That's not black-owned. And you see, for me, my mission is I stand on truth and facts. You know, there was stuff, he begs to come on the Breakfast Club, which is not true. Sent 2 texts this year, 1 last year, 1 2023. And when I go to New York, I actually text about 10 people. 10 shows. So it could be the Breakfast Club, it could be Ebro. I do media all over. I don't beg. Of when I went on the Breakfast Club 3 years ago. I got Republicans who don't want to come on my show because I don't let them lie. And so and that's why I get upset when I watch a lot of these shows and folks lie. I don't let folk lie because when someone lies, if they're listening to this show and a lie is told and you say nothing, for me, the public goes, Well, Angela and Envy and Charlamagne didn't say that, so what they said must have been true.
That's kind of what I was saying as well. If the Breakfast Club is giving out information that's not accurate, nobody's going to check it. People are just going to run with whatever the Breakfast Club says, especially if they're not in the loop on all the political movements, how insurance works, and all that type of stuff.
It's not enough to say, well, I'm just asking questions. But if your question is rooted in wrong information, then you've actually weaponized the wrong information. And now it goes out to the public because they are thinking, well, wait a minute, you bigger, you more knowledgeable, you know more things than I do. So therefore, I'm trusting that what you are saying to me is correct. So what then happens is you say something or a guest says something that's not correct, and then it's not corrected. So therefore, the person listening goes, that must be right. Charlamagne said Democrats failed to expand the tax credits.
Right.
Here's the problem. They didn't have the power. Republicans control the House. They control whether a bill comes to the floor. They had the votes. Republicans control the Senate. The big, ugly bill was passed through a process called reconciliation.
Dropping facts.
The reconciliation process does not require 60 votes. The reconciliation process only requires a simple majority. See, these are the arcane things in politics that I don't expect the average person to know. But when you understand how precious information is, it was Kathy Hughes who coined the phrase, information is power. But disinformation, misinformation, lack of full information also has negative consequences.
I think this was a really important discussion and discourse to have. One, just about the intricacies of the federal government, how it works, how some bills are passed. And two, about the importance of information and misinformation, especially at this time where we know we're going to be facing a lot of misinformation come the midterms, because that's how it's always worked with the Republicans. So we really have to be more aware as voters of what's going on. And it is important that people like Charlemagne and Roland Martin that have people's ears and that have platforms give correct information whenever possible. Republicans always work very hard to shift any blame that they receive to somebody else, namely the Democrats. So seeing Charlemagne on a platform as big as the Breakfast Club help the Republicans publicly by blaming the Democrats for not extending the tax credit, I feel like could hurt Democrats in the future. These conservatives have to go, because if they stay in power, before you know it, we'll have 50-year mortgages and 100-year car payments. But shout out to my channel members. Thank you. I appreciate y'all so much. And thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.